So I don't know if somebody put up a coon signal in the air or something like that, but Gilbert Arenas done flew down onto the damn scene talking about, oh, how black are we talking? Well, nobody was talking to you in general.
I can't begin to tell you guys how disappointed I would be in myself if a white person thought for any reason that they could just openly use the N word around me, as it would indicate a personal failure to myself. And that's exactly what happened here, as Neanderthal Stewart, apparently in the presence of three niggas and a white man with a nigga family, she openly said the N word in front of them. So I'm gonna read this article to you guys and let let you understand the situation and the full gravity of this. So Neanderthal Stewart really asked Lil Yachty, quotes here, does it upset you when Snoop says nigga shit? All right. So a new cover story on Lil Yachty dropped earlier this week, and it's very much worth your time. I doubt that. One particular passage in Remembert, that's a strange first name, Brown Fader's piece, detailing Yachty's appearance on the set of Martha and Snoop's Potluck Dinner Party, has started generating some headlines of its own due to quotes from co host Neanderthal Stewart. Yachty was joined by Laverne Nigga Cox and Gary has a Nigga Family Owens, and Stewart's co host Snoop Nigga Dogg for a taping of VH1 series second season, which is slated to premiere this October. When the topic of Yachty's Teenage Emotions album cover came up, the host and guests were informed that the image was not available, as the network had failed to clear it. At this point, Brown writes, Snoop stood up and delivered a swear filled finger wag at the staff for fucking up the image clearance. While venting his frustration, Snoop referred to teenage emotions as this nigga's shit. Stewart then repeated part of Snoop's remarks to Yachty, electing every imaginable reaction. So, Martha, sitting at the table with her co host Yachty, comedian Gary Owen, and actress Laverne Cox, leaned over while wearing a sari for their Indian food themed episode and both maternally and ignorantly said, Yachty, does it upset you when Snoop says nigga shit? Okay. The room filled with every imaginable reaction: anger, horror, embarrassment, laughter, joy, pain. What about beatdown? What about curse out? Were any of those emotions in the room at that time? Well, I'm going to continue and read and see. Throughout the exchange, you see, I messed up because I wasn't saying her name correctly. Neanderthal Stewart did not seem to understand what the big deal was. They never do. So Yachty's reaction was a huge coon smile. Now, the article does not say coon smile, but obviously they forgot to write it. So Yachty's response, nigga Yachty, responded with a huge coon smile. It had been a long morning of sitting and waiting following a day of interviews that involved a great deal of sitting and waiting. Once he finally made it to the stage, blah, 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 nobody cares about little Yachty. Okay. So, uh, Neanderthal Stewart is what we like to refer to in the black community as, one of the cool white people. And yet again, we have another one of those cool white people who have come out and just openly expressed a racial slur in front of. Actually, I guess you could say this was worse than the Bill Maher situation, as she said this sitting in front of basically I wouldn't call Gary Owens a black person, although for whatever reason he has a show on BET. Now, understand that Gary Owens has a show on BET, and I guess they excuse it because he supposedly, his family is black because his wife is black and his children are black, and when Neanderthal Stewart, cave woman Stewart, was sitting at that table, I really wonder what Gary Owens' reaction was to Neanderthal Stewart using a racial slur when her son when his son, and I think he might have a daughter too, or I'm not familiar with how much children he has. I know he has a son, a wife, and I think some more kids, and they would all be referred to as the N word, especially from Martha Stewart's times. As we know, Martha Stewart is 355 years old, and as someone that old, Martha Stewart definitely should know better. And she comes from a time where people were openly speaking out the N word, not like they're not doing it now. And for Gary Owens, I really wonder what if they decide to show this on TV, which I'm sure they won't. I'm sure this is something that's going to be cut out. I wonder how he responded. I wonder if we'll ever find out. Because we already know that Yachty gave a coon smile. And what about this nigga Laverne Cox? From what I know, Laverne Cox is supposed to be this progressive person. So, did she just allow this to happen? Like, what was her progressive response? I'm sure if somebody jumped up and called her all kinds of mans and all kinds of trans mans and things like that, she'd be very upset about that. So I wonder how she responded when this cave devil sat there and just blatantly used a slur in front of all of them. No respect for them, no respect at all. And I wouldn't have any respect for them either, as they don't seem to be people that that have any type of integrity. But we'll talk about that, the no integrity in the black community in a second. So who who I really want to talk about is Snoop Dogg. I noticed as I'm reading this, I don't see any quotes from Snoop Dogg referring to her as all types of cave bitches and telling her to go back to bedrock and stuff like that, because this is supposed to be his friend, Neanderthal cave woman, Martha Stewart. She's supposed to be his friend. So I'm wondering why, when his friend used a racial slur in front of all these black people and guy that thinks he's black, what did Snoop Dogg say? Because I see Snoop Dogg has a lot to say at any time some racial situations go on or are going down. Snoop Dogg will put on his little mammy bandana, sit there looking like a mammy on Instagram, talking about all this and racism that, and you'd really think that he's really pro black and whatever. And then when his decrepit white corpse friend uses a racial slur in front of a whole bunch of black people, including his ass, I don't see any quotes from him. I don't see him saying anything to her. You know what I'm saying? That's strange. I would think that the guy who wrote this, Brown, whatever his name was, would have quoted Snoop Dogg had he said something coming after her. But I'm sure that he didn't, because Martha Cave Woman Stewart is one of the cool white people, one of the cool white people that we desperately that we desperately need to have in the black community for some reason, But what I'm wondering is what's so cool about Neanderthal Stewart? Because last time I checked, Neanderthal Stewart has all types of money. She has all types of connections, all kinds of power. And what is she doing with it? I've never heard her tweet anything about stop this injustice towards black people. Me and Snoop Dogg are friends. I care for black people. I've never heard her say, hey, stop not hiring black people, let them be able to build capital so they can not go out and having a life of crime and stuff in these inner cities, since white people claim to be so concerned with what's going on in the inner cities. And then we have cool white people like Martha Stewart. Why isn't she using her power and her influence to tell these banks to allow black people to open up their own businesses? Like Martha Stewart has had many a businesses. Why doesn't she use her power? Because she's cool. She's one of the cool white people. So why isn't she using any of her power, any of her money to do anything for black people? Reason why she doesn't have to. She doesn't have to, because people like Snoop Dogg love to talk about racism. Snoop Dogg does not demand anything of Martha Stewart whatsoever. Not even a modicum of respect, as not to use racial slurs, not only in front of him, but in front of various black people. So, that's the thing with us and these cool white people that we want to have so bad. We want to have them in the community so bad. We want to have these close relationships with white people for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Just a couple weeks, well, not even a couple weeks ago, I guess a couple days ago, I think the interview may have been on Saturday, but I don't know when the controversy happened. I'm not referring to this particular situation, but the one with Umar Johnson, where a bunch of people want to jump down Johnson's throat and come after him, a lot of them because he was talking about interracial relationships. A lot of black people who, for some weird, very strange reason, feel like they can be for the benefit of black people while sleeping with mainly white supremacists. Because a lot of these people are white supremacists. Because what are they doing? What is your white supremacy? What is your partner? Let's say they're not white supremacists. Let's just say that they're just white or whatever. What are they doing to to help black people, to help their future children, if you're going to have children with them? What are they doing to help you in society? Nothing, as usual, because they don't have to, because black people don't demand them to. A lot of black people want to sit here and be in these interracial relationships and claim that they care so much for black people while demanding absolutely nothing from people who can actually do stuff about what's going on with us. Now, you claim that you care so much about what black people are going through, but you would never dare roll over in your bed at night and ask your partner, hey, I have to get up in the morning and go deal with this white supremacy while you're benefiting off it. Could you maybe use your whiteness to try to help me and possibly our future children and our family? You would never do that because you guys don't demand anything of white people. Nothing whatsoever. That's why we continue to have interracial dating rising and racism not changing, if anything getting worse. And the reason why it's getting worse is because white people realize that they don't have to do anything. Now, I was going to scroll down in this comic because I specifically came on Complex, as this is supposedly a site where that deals a lot with black culture and black people. So of course there'd be black people here and people who you would think would care about black people or who black people think care about them. And of course a bunch of them, the vast majority of them, are defending her, and the ones who aren't are being responded to by people who are defending her, and they're getting even more likes than the people's original response. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to link this into the description, and you can read and watch all the no integrity black men in particular defend her, as that's what always happens. Well, the modern day average black man has absolutely no integrity, and that's what causes most of the problems in our community, as there will always be a black man who will sit here and complain all the time about racism and what's happening to black men, and then just allow white people, specifically white women, to have free reign on the community. As long as she bats her eyelashes at them or smiles at them or is friendly towards them, we'll just sell out the entire community. They're allowed to use racial slurs. I highly doubt Martha Cavewoman Stewart would sit up on anybody's TV and talk about kikes and fags and any of these racial slurs or any slur whatsoever. She'll only use ours as she feels comfortable to do so, as she doesn't have any respect for black people. And why should she, when a guy who sits up on Instagram all the time complaining about racism does not even care when she uses a racial slur in front of him? All right. So I'm out of here. This is the calmest video I've ever done, and I want it to stay that way. All right. I talk to you guys soon.